John Michaels delivered a box containing a detailed report, photos, and a DVD to wife's lover, caught during their infidelity, causing them distress. Sincerely apologetic, Mr. Walker expressed difficulties conveying unfavorable information as per John Michaels' instructions. The envelope contained evidence of the spouse's lengthy affair with her former boss, Grant Jacobs. Although hesitant, I had scrutinized the images, but hadn't reviewed the DVD yet. However, I comprehended the necessity to confront the truth uncovered by John. Any hint about how long this betrayal had been occurring prompted my question, and John pointed me to his initial report for an answer. Based on the discovered proof, John clarified that the affair had lasted at least 10 years. It might have extended up to 12 years. It appears that suspicions arose when your wife sought the top position, approximately a year following our daughter Sophie's birth. However, I found myself needing DNA tests to confirm the biological relationship with the children. Another worry crossed my mind: the potential of STDs. The investigation uncovered Grant's infidelities beyond his relationship with Linda. Given that we had been together after her retirement, I pondered over the diseases she might have transmitted over the years. It was evident that medical tests were necessary without delay. Upon rereading the report, I couldn't help but chuckle at John's comments suggesting Linda was unaware of her lover's activities while he wasn't with her. For your information, Walker Grant claimed he didn't intend to disrupt your marriage. John shared with me, and no infidelities occurred at your residence. I installed cameras and microphones within our house when I employed him, ensuring that Grant hadn't sullied our bedroom. I appreciated you informing me about this, Mr. Michaels. I had met Walker Jacobs a few times, I mentioned, and didn't hold him in high regard. He was handsome, but he also came across as rude, and his smirk irritated me. I held back from wiping that smirk off his face more than once. Now I understood the source of his self-satisfaction. John continued with more details, stating that according to our observations and recordings, Grant's sister Natalie had known about their affair since its inception. It seems she might have even assisted them, which saddened me slightly as I thought Natalie was a respectable individual, the polar opposite of her brother. Quietly, I murmured, "So, have you consulted a lawyer yet?" John asked. However, my response was negative at that point. I acknowledged the need for clarity first, as I do extensive work for Lisa Hawkins, who I consider exceptional, particularly in handling cheaters. If you're keen, I can send this matter to her office and inform her of your visit. He agreed that would be great. I thanked him. I'll coordinate with her office and arrange a meeting. John gave me his business card, which I put away, considering his advice. He suggested I should let Lisa manage this situation. I understand, I nodded. Despite my current emotional state, it's best not to act impulsively, he cautioned, as this isn't just an internet tale. It's real life, and there are 2 children involved. I comprehended. I confirmed I paid my bill and left his office, feeling that my marriage was nothing but a fraud, even though I acknowledged his wisdom. Still in agony, I sat in my car and wept for around 15 minutes. After regaining my composure, I took the business card he had given me and called Lisa Hawkins' law offices to arrange an appointment for the next day. She supplied a list of documents to bring, mostly financial statements, which I collected on my way home. I stopped at a convenience store, bought a pack of cigarettes, something I hadn't done since college, and then headed to a bar to try to numb my sorrows with a beer. Although not much of a drinker, I figured I deserved it this time. The bartender asked, "You doing okay, buddy?" As I took a drag from my cigarette, I looked up at him before replying, "Can you tell?" He offered a small grin, saying, "Unfortunately, yes." When I nodded, he confirmed, "Just found out your wife's been unfaithful." "Right on the nose," he said after 12 years together. "Can you believe it?" he asked. Yes, I could, he replied, since he had seen and heard it all since he started working there. No doubt. He inquired if I could share something my grandfather used to say, and I consented. He shared that his grandfather would say he felt bad because he had no shoes, then met a man with no feet. He implied that although you're hurting now, it will get better, and there are people who have gone through worse than you. I agreed with him, noting that his grandfather indeed seemed wise. The bartender approved, advised me to finish my drink and attend to my matters at home. He cautioned that solutions won't be found in the bottom of that glass. I nodded in agreement while pondering, knowing deep down that the bartender was speaking truthfully as I sipped my beer. After all these years, I never expected Linda would cheat on me. Although there were subtle signs, nothing definitive stood out. But when I pieced everything together, it made sense to me. For instance, after our second child, Sophie, was born. When I got a vasectomy, Linda resumed birth control, a move that struck me as unusual at the time. Why employ birth control if the matter had been previously addressed? She offered an explanation about being extra vigilant and how the pills regulated her menstrual cycle, despite not being an expert on the topic. I accepted this account until she secured that position with Grant and her attire shifted from professional to more unconventional. Upon inquiry, she suggested that entertainment might play a substantial role in her new responsibilities. It soon dawned on me that she was entertaining Grant, and it seemed like an integral part of her new duties, the phrase entertaining being used figuratively. I frequently contacted her during evenings while she was away, finding it peculiar that she would always be in her room when I phoned, yet occasionally I believed I heard a male voice nearby. On some occasions, Linda's voice seemed to crack as she spoke, and at the time, I couldn't comprehend why. If Grant were physically or emotionally close to her during our phone conversations, it would explain her behavior. There were instances when I detected traces of Grant's aftershave on Linda's garments upon her return home, a scent I recognized as I always noticed it whenever we met and found it nauseating. All this could only suggest that they were spending time together. Also, she claimed to work on Fridays after retiring, but my abilities hinted that my services were still required. Despite initially scheduling me for one weekly afternoon, she might require travel on some occasions, she clarified when I asked. She characterized it as merely business, but later I understood that her abilities encompassed more private endeavors, and it was far from a simple business transaction. To add insult to injury, her single afternoon visit expanded to 2 or even 3, and she frequently didn't return home until 9 or 10 in the evening. Her occasional outings escalated from monthly to bi-monthly or even weekly events that sometimes extended over an entire weekend. My retirement plans are obviously on hold now. All these developments have occurred only within the last 4 months. Linda's conduct towards me, however, remains unchanged. She remained as gentle and loving as she was when we tied the knot, evidently cherishing our family time at home. This was comforting since I'd been shouldering most of the childcare responsibilities due to her busy schedule. For some time, I've been contemplating this issue, ultimately opting to engage John's investigative agency to scrutinize Linda's actions. Regrettably, my deepest fears have materialized. My suspicions were correct. The remaining puzzle is the equitable division of assets. If this transgression was a rare, alcohol-induced misstep that I might have overlooked. However, given its prolonged and deliberate nature spanning over a decade, accountability is now necessary. After putting out my cigarette and draining my beer, I departed, tipping the bartender handsomely for his patience. Upon returning home, Linda's vehicle was parked in the garage. Caught off guard, I found her in the house after closing the garage. I shed my coat and moved towards my home office, but Linda intercepted me. She detected the scent of cigarettes and alcohol. "You've been smoking," she said, furrowing her brows. "I smell beer too," she added, concern evident on her face. "Everything okay, John?" I confessed that it had been one of the toughest days of my life. She seemed truly concerned, but I couldn't help but question her sincerity. I explained I would be holed up in my office for the evening and didn't feel sociable. "Is there anything I can do, sweetheart?" she asked. I nodded, suggesting she undo the damage she had caused. "Afraid there's nothing you can do," I replied. She casually mentioned she would be away from Friday, it only being Tuesday. I wondered why she was already making plans for another weekend trip so soon. "Didn't you just go on a weekend trip?" I inquired. "Yes, however, a matter has arisen," she clarified. "It's simply work-related, as you're well aware," I responded sarcastically. "What about Sophie's birthday party? It's this coming Saturday," She acknowledged it, but she can't avoid this. Could you kindly explain to her why I won't be present, please? I won't cover for you anymore. You may recall that you missed Erin's birthday and our anniversary last year. Perhaps you could explain to our daughter why you'd rather be on a trip with Grant than celebrating her birthday here. Linda didn't appreciate my response and sighed heavily before speaking. John, please, you're being unreasonable, she protested. Months have passed since your retirement following the sale of your company, but you've been away so frequently that I can't help but question what's truly happening. Is there something you wish to disclose? What are you suggesting? Are you accusing me of infidelity? She countered defensively. How would you feel if the roles were reversed? You appeared to relax a bit following that. I acknowledge your perspective, but understand me, it's strictly business, you persistently assert. However, I reiterate. Now, if you don't mind, I must attend to other matters. Please do not intrude. You're in charge of the children tonight. I withdrew into my home office, securing the door. I heard Linda try to open it, John. She pleaded, John, talk to me. Leave me alone, Linda. Through gritted teeth, I responded. I was occupied, having heard her depart. I collected the data Lisa needed and moved on to the proof given by John as I read through the report. It was inconceivable that this was the woman I had nurtured for 12 years. I put on my headphones, hit play on the DVD. If you haven't experienced my situation, it's hard to grasp the tumult of feelings when you see someone you love willingly giving themselves to another. It didn't matter how John acquired those videos. All I knew was that any affection I had for Linda had vanished as I watched her with Grant on screen. I vowed to myself that I would never interact with her again, even when she asked if they were still meeting up this weekend. Grant questioned, and Linda responded affirmatively, a smile playing on her lips, admitting her longing for him inside her. He inquired about the daughter's birthday party happening this same weekend. Yes, but John will manage it, she said. She claimed he handles children better than I do. Moreover, if I must decide between handling unruly girls or being with you, I'd opt for the latter. You understand, I appreciate your presence, Linda, but I am concerned he might become suspicious, Grant conveyed. After all, you are supposed to be retired, recall. I've made it clear Grant has retired, yet our relationship continues unyieldingly. She responded, caressing him, expressing gratitude for her family and John, but stating that the 12 years we have spent together mean everything to her. When we initiated this, you said you'd prioritize John and your children if required. Do you still feel that way? She admitted uncertainly. It has never been discussed. I am unsure how you have managed to keep him in the dark all these years, Grant pondered. If he discovers our secret, it won't end well, he mused. Initially, it was difficult, but I learned to segregate my professional life and personal affairs. She clarified that she's never denied him anything and treats him well. If he finds out, she might threaten him during divorce. Grant cautioned that it might not be straightforward, but should things worsen, she could remain there if she wished. She appreciated this, though she didn't believe anything would happen. He's been unaware for 12 years and probably always will. How long do you plan to sustain this charade? Grant asked. As long as possible, possibly for the rest of my life, she replied. I pondered. Perhaps your wish may come true. As I ended the call, returning the DVD to my briefcase and hearing Linda knock on the office door. What I said was the children were going to bed. She shared the information with me. Could you please come out and say goodnight to them? In a moment, I responded, shutting down my computer and heading upstairs to tuck the kids in while attempting a smile. Sophie cast a strange look at me. Are you all right, Dad? She asked. Yes, I confirmed with a smile. I'm fine. Go to sleep now, dear. I love you. She also loves me back, said as she kissed me following her departure from her room. I then descended to the downstairs where I grabbed a coffee. I ensured some food stayed warm for you. John mentioned that Linda wasn't hungry. In response, I stepped outside. I took a seat in a deck chair on the patio and lit a cigarette. Linda joined me shortly thereafter. She attempted to kiss me, but I dodged by turning my head, leading her to land a kiss on my cheek instead. I had no intention of kissing lips that had been on Grant Jacobs' tools. She appeared shocked at my reaction. John, please tell me your worries. You seem very distressed, she said, concern evident in her expression. This isn't like you at all, and honestly, I dislike seeing you smoke when you quit college, she added. Life doesn't always follow our plans, I countered. What do you mean by that? She wondered, to which I merely shook my head without responding. John, please share your feelings with me. I love you. You can tell me anything, she urged. I met her gaze through the smoke and continued to stay silent, shaking my head. It's too late for that now, I responded. You admitted too tardily things that remain unclear to you. She implied you're skillful in business matters. I asserted you could find a solution. Now, request some distance as I need to organize my thoughts. However, I might assist if you allow me to help, she requested earnestly. Linda, please respect my space, I said, showing my annoyance. I softened my tone later, acknowledging I may have been revealing too much. I'm sorry for my outburst. Life has been tough lately, and it's overwhelming me. Perhaps in a few days, we can talk again. It didn't feel right deceiving her, but I justified it, thinking, isn't it fair to lie to a liar? She responded quietly with tears streaming down her face before rushing inside to cry. I smoked 2 more cigarettes before going indoors. After taking a shower to eliminate the smoke odor and donning pajamas seldom worn, I climbed into bed. Linda lay beside me under the covers, reaching for me. I pushed her hand away, rejecting her advances for the first time in our marriage. She started speaking, John, but I turned away, refusing to give her a goodnight kiss. Good night, Linda. As she turned away, tears streaming down her face, I didn't care. By morning, she could be in hell as far as I was concerned. I rose, showered, dressed, and prepared for work, packing my belongings. Before the children left for school, I spent some time with them, then departed without a word to Linda. She gave me a puzzled look as I exited. Don't I get a goodbye kiss anymore? She inquired as I opened the door. Sorry, I replied, blowing her a kiss. I love you. I love you too, she responded, with the same sentiment. In the office, work was challenging. I shared my predicament with my boss, who had experienced divorce himself. Do whatever you need to do, he said, offering understanding. If I require time off, just inform me. I thanked him and resumed work, departing early for my meeting with Lisa. Afternoon greeted me as I arrived at the office. Good afternoon, Mr. was my greeting. I was greeted by Lisa Hawkins upon entering her office. She appeared to be around my age with long blonde hair. She wore rings on her fingers, indicating marriage. I introduced myself as John and asked her to call me Lisa. She informed me that she had reviewed the report Mr. Michael had sent over. I'm sorry, she said, that you're going through this. It's a common issue I deal with, but it's always distressing. She inquired about my well-being, to which I admitted that I wasn't doing too well. Lisa expressed understanding and empathy. Have you spoken to her about it yet? She asked. I confessed that I had not, but I hadn't been very nice to her the previous night. Lisa suggested maintaining civility for now, acknowledging that it might be difficult given the circumstances, but it was best not to reveal my awareness of the situation. Let her continue as usual, she advised. She'll figure it out when she receives the divorce papers. I agreed that it would be tough, very tough, but I assured her I would do my best. Lisa then asked about my objectives for the divorce. I aim to secure as much as possible, particularly custody of the children if they truly are mine. You are aware that mothers usually get custody, aren't you? This was her observation. However, I have been their primary caregiver for over a decade, and she acknowledged on video that I am a better parent than her. Her decision to spend her daughter's birthday with her lover instead of her should carry some weight, it seems. She agreed, and Lisa pointed out that it could be considered. She scrutinized the financial documents I presented, making notes. It appears that my wife received a substantial amount from the company's sale, equivalent to your monthly salary in dividends. This situation benefits us, right? So, does this imply no alimony is involved? I asked, and Lisa confirmed. She's still young and capable of earning an income, and if we secure custody for you, we might be able to obtain child support from her. What about the house? If we manage to secure custody for you, You can continue living in it, and we can ask her to cover half of the mortgage. However, there's a possibility the court could grant her custody, in which case you'd have to pay half of the mortgage along with child support. She explained that the only other option regarding the house would be to sell it and divide the proceeds between both parties. As for our retirement and bank accounts, we can make things easier by excluding them from the dispute. You can keep your 401ks and everything else will be equally divided, which is usually what a judge orders. She also mentioned that there's an option to take legal action against Grant Jacobs for alienation of affection, but it might not be straightforward. You didn't inquire about this matter, she responded, but we will involve him in the divorce proceedings. There could potentially be a case against him for intentional infliction of emotional distress, but chances are slim, especially under current circumstances. What about his sister, Natalie? She has been fully aware of the situation and may have even helped facilitate it. I noted that her situation is similar. If you want to file, we can do so. Lisa agreed. When can we move forward with this? I asked, to which she replied it could be completed by Friday. She suggested serving her late Saturday afternoon as she will be away for the weekend with Grant. I clarified my understanding, and she acknowledged there would be an extra cost for a process server to work on Saturday. No problem, let's move ahead with it. I concurred. John and I ended the meeting with a handshake, following his usual caution against hasty actions. He accepted my retainer payment. As I exited her office, my confidence level in the matter increased. Upon arriving home, I was taken aback to see Linda's car parked in the garage on a Wednesday, as she would typically be at work. I supposed she had driven there recently. The aroma of pot roast welcomed me upon entering the house. "Hello, sweetheart," Linda called out from the kitchen. She returned early, everything all right. "Yes," I replied, hoping her day was better than yesterday. She mentioned she was sorting things out. I asked if she was hungry. It seemed dinner was ready. She revealed she prepared pot roast, my favorite meal. I agreed it smelled delicious. "Had you been to the office?" "Yes, for a couple of hours," I responded. "Preparing for the weekend," she added. "By chance, did you speak with Sophie?" I inquired. "Yes, she's not enthusiastic, but will manage," Linda explained. "Where are the kids?" I asked. "They were at home," she replied. In their rooms, where they were doing homework. She mentioned that the trip with Grant was still being planned. When asked about business, she confirmed it was just business and inquired about my retirement plans. I clarified that I was already retired but needed to keep busy for a while. She seemed to think I was almost working full-time already. I remarked that one must do what they must do. She asked what I meant. I queried about the time I was spending with them, suggesting that I might as well be on payroll. I pointed out that I was earning more now because of my increased involvement. She defended herself and complimented her cooking. I recalled how much I'd miss her culinary skills after we parted ways, especially when spending time with the kids. Linda tried to enter my office, but found it locked, then knocked when she realized it was locked. When I opened the door a crack to see her face, she asked if I was staying in there for the night. I replied that I thought so as I still had much to do and was feeling under the weather, not wanting to risk making her sick before her trip. "I'll sleep on the couch here, okay?" She agreed, telling me to take care, John, please, and I love you. I replied as I closed the door behind her. Later, I booted up my computer to search for what I needed. Once I found it, I completed a form and checked my email for confirmation, taking note of the phone number. I set a reminder on my phone to call the next day to confirm details. The following day was much like the previous one, except Linda attempted to seduce me with a sheer nightgown that revealed everything. Despite her allure, knowing about her actions with Grant, I had no interest in her. I apologized and said I had a migraine, feigning weakness and choosing to sleep in the office instead. A tear rolled down Linda's cheek as she left, but I was indifferent. The next day at noon, she called to say she was taking the day off. She hoped I was feeling better, John. She suggested we might reconnect once she returns on Monday. Her parents are taking the children today and delivering them tomorrow for Sophie's party. Thank you for the heads up. I replied, "I love you, John. Yes, she affirmed, hoping you believe that. I responded with a safe trip wish. See you later. Goodbye, Linda. After ending the call, I phoned Lisa to confirm documents are being filed now. They'll be served at 5:30 tomorrow at Grant's as planned, and Natalie will receive hers on Monday. Thanks, Lisa. I concluded the conversation. Informed my aide I was wrapping up work for the day, locked the office, and departed home as there were numerous tasks prior to the movers' arrival that afternoon. A pile of boxes awaited in the garage for the day's labor at 5 p.m. The movers arrived with their truck at precisely that moment, coinciding with my completion of packing everything. They proceeded to load up while I took care of altering Linda's wedding gown. Once done, I placed the ashes inside a paper bag, sealed it along with a note containing my wedding ring and our marriage certificate torn in half within an envelope. This I handed to one of the movers, instructing them to deliver it to Linda at Grant's house. The next day at 5:30 p.m., accompanied by two $50 bills as tips. I assured him I would ensure it reached her destination. He agreed affirmatively. Goodbye. Later, I warmed up some leftover pot roast and dined in the living room as I watched TV. I slept soundly in the master bedroom that night. The following day at noon, Linda's parents came with their kids. I had been busy since morning, preparing for Sophie's birthday party, which was scheduled for 3 p.m. in the backyard. Linda had arranged a cake, which I had picked up earlier and kept refrigerated. Upon her arrival, Linda's mother remarked on my busyness. I didn't have any other options, I replied. Hopefully, everything will go smoothly and the kids will enjoy it. She assured me, but then mentioned that Linda wouldn't be present. Yes, I confirmed. She did indeed confirm. I couldn't believe she would miss her own daughter's birthday. After a brief pause, she looked at me intently and asked about our situation. Everything is all right between us, I admitted, although not without reluctance. However, you will soon find out the truth, I added. I am divorcing Linda, a fact I just revealed after discovering she has been having an affair with her boss for 12 years. Her father exclaimed why, while her mother gasped. You're sure about this? I responded, admitting that my suspicions have lingered for a while, especially since Linda's so-called retirement. A month ago, I hired an investigator to delve deeper and now possess a detailed report, photographs, and even video evidence if necessary. She declined viewing the report and indicated she cannot be forgiven. Absolutely, I affirmed, not after all this time. George expressed disbelief, commenting that he couldn't believe she would do something so foolish. Rhonda offered to finish up for Sophie's party before leaving, and I gestured for George to join me in my home office, where I handed him the written report, visibly shocking him and shaking his head in disbelief at this foolish woman. He apologized, returning the report to me. She's my child, but it's tough to accept this truth. Now you comprehend my predicament. I empathized with your situation. What's the strategy regarding the Grant case? You inquired. I've filed a lawsuit against him and his sister for inflicting emotional harm. I informed him. He laughed it off. That's it, he responded after 12 years of allegedly stealing my wife. He gets away with it easily. You understand how far this legal action can reach, don't you? I understood, but I need to consider the impact on my children if they end up in jail. I suppose you're correct, he replied. It appears that Grant has a history of pursuing married women, according to this report. I bet Linda isn't his first target, I agreed. Here's an idea George suggested. Let me deal with this man. I won't allow you to risk going to jail over him. I agree, John responded. Let me handle that man instead. George eased my worries, son, as he affirmed there was no need to worry. George, a sturdy man familiar with labor, had previously introduced me to some of his colossal co-workers who watched over one another. What's your strategy? I asked. With a wink and grin, he replied secretively, all right, if you insist. Agreeing, he grinned and slapped my shoulder jovially. John, let's go. Spend some time with the kids, he suggested. Outside, we found Rhonda had arranged Sophie's party. Delight sparkled in Sophie's eyes upon descending as she praised me affectionately. Thanks, Daddy. She gleamed, embracing me. This is fantastic. I wish Mom could see it too. I concurred, but we'll take numerous photos for her. Agreed. Agreed, she consented as I lit up the grill, preparing burgers and hot dogs for all. Around 4:30 p.m., the doorbell chimed, marking the start of the events. Over the next half hour, Sophie's friends, along with their parents, eagerly entered to join the fun. Among the last to arrive were Natalie and her husband Ralph, accompanied by their daughter Denise. After welcoming them inside, I guided Denise to the backyard, where the party was underway. Offering drinks to Natalie and Ralph, I made small talk. "I'm surprised to see you here," I commented, given the planned business trip. "That's Linda's gig," she clarified. "She's just offering assistance at the office," I responded. "All seemed well between you and Linda," Natalie inquired. "Why do you ask?" I countered, noticing her absence of a wedding ring on her finger. I realized my error and returned it to her. "You imply Grant may find more loyalty than I did from her. Is that what you mean?" Natalie inquired. "Come on, Natalie." I objected. "Don't try to sugarcoat it. You both have been deceiving me for a long time, haven't you, John?" "Yes, your brother has been seeing Linda for over a decade. But Linda still cares about you," insisted Natalie. "Well, she's certainly shown that by lying to me for 12 years. I countered sarcastically. "So, what's your plan?" Natalie asked. "I think I'm going to give her the boot. She and Grant will find out soon enough," I replied, looking at my watch. "They'll be served soon?" Natalie questioned. "Yes, Linda is getting divorce papers, and I'm taking Grant to court. You'll be served on Monday," I informed her. "Why are you suing me?" "You're correct that I haven't taken any action, but you vehemently opposed me when I did. For years, it seems you were aware of their schemes, and my investigator even suspects your involvement. Despite our friendship, you chose not to warn me. Countless times, you dined in my home, knowing full well what Linda was doing with your brother. Were you enjoying my misfortune? Now that our family is shattered, and you bear some responsibility for this, I can never again trust a woman. My children have lost their mother. I hope you find solace in your satisfaction. I am far from content about this, John. However, I apologize," Natalie insisted. "You said I didn't do anything, but you opposed me when I tried. For years, it seems you knew about their misdeeds, and my investigator even suspects your involvement. As friends, you should have warned me, but you didn't. Many times, you were in my house, knowing Linda was doing wrong with your brother. Did you enjoy causing me trouble? Now that our family is broken apart, it's your fault too. I can never trust a woman again, and my children are motherless. I hope you find happiness knowing this. I am not content at all about this, John. However, I apologize," Natalie insisted. "Natalie, my apology isn't sufficient. For 12 years, it seems you conspired to destroy my family. Your indifference towards the pain inflicted upon me and my children allowed this to happen. You were wrong, and now it's too late to correct it. However, you claim that it was simply business between you, Natalie. I initially disagreed, but you admitted that Linda's actions followed Grant's idea. Linda participated because she desired the job, yet over time, her feelings changed. So, even after she sold her company and claimed retirement, I questioned whether it was entirely her decision. Natalie clarified that she believed it would stop, but Linda continued with it. Then she made a regrettable choice. I commented, "But you still played a part. I'm truly sorry about that, John." Natalie apologized, "But you said we didn't mean to hurt me, yet we did. In the most harmful way possible. It's best if you take your family and leave my house, Natalie." She nodded in comprehension. As she was leaving, I called out to her. When she turned back, I said, "Oh, and one more thing, Natalie." "Don't return," she said, wiping away a tear as she departed to locate Denise and Ralph. Linda and Grant were lying bare in bed when her phone vibrated, signaling a new message. Assuming it was John sending pictures from Sophie's party, she hastily read the text. It was from Natalie instead. "He has discovered our secret," she exclaimed. "What's going on?" Grant asked. "It's Natalie. John knows everything," Linda clarified. "She should clean up and leave home, right?" Grant inquired. "Yes," Linda confirmed, quickly donning a bathrobe and exiting the bed. As they did so, the doorbell rang. Who could that be? Grant wondered aloud, peering through the window to see a sedan and moving truck in the driveway. He quickly dressed and donned a robe, with Linda following behind. Upon opening the door, they were greeted by a man in a light jacket. "Are you Grant Jacobs?" the man asked. "Yes," replied Grant, "and is Linda Walker here too?" The man confirmed their identities. Linda verified herself and moved forward, requiring identification from the man. He asked why. Grant inquired as he reached for his wallet. The man inspected Grant's license without speaking, then handed him an envelope with the words, "You've been served." To Linda, he also requested ID. She complied, showing her wallet, which was checked by the man. Another envelope followed, with the statement, "You've been served," and a restraining order included. The order mandated that they maintain a distance of at least 500 feet from Mr. John Walker, his home, workplace, and children's school. Violating this order could result in arrest. As he left, he wished them a good day, leaving Linda and Grant perplexed after exchanging glances. Another man in jeans and a t-shirt approached Linda, asking if she was Linda Walker. She confirmed that she was, receiving a paper bag with an attached envelope from the man. He explained he had other boxes to deliver. This left Linda puzzled. Should I place them there? After a glance between them, Grant suggested leaving them in the front room temporarily. He ordered, and they thankfully complied. The man retreated to his vehicle as they observed several boxes being unloaded and arranged in the front room according to instructions. Simultaneously, Linda unfolded the envelope. Inside was a male's wedding ring, a note, and fragments of their marriage license. Tears filled Linda's eyes as she read the letter. "Linda, I have only ever loved and stood by you during our marriage. It was a shock to discover that for the last 12 years, you were involved in an affair with Grant Jacobs. Such is your recompense for my love lies, deceit. You've always maintained it was just business, but now I understand it ran much deeper than that. I trust the effort was justified. I advise you to consult a lawyer immediately. I've already separated our finances as per the divorce documents, changed the door locks. Since you initiated an affair with Grant, I'm seeking full custody but won't deny visitation rights. Coordinate it through our lawyers. Since Grant offered you a place to stay, I've sent your belongings there. If there are additional items from the house you wish, have your lawyer communicate with mine to discuss. I no longer want to see or hear from you or your falsehoods. Keep away from me and the children. Any attempt to contact will result in a restraining order being enforced. Avoid making the divorce process more difficult. I assume it was beneficial. I recommend you consult a lawyer promptly. I've already split our finances as per the divorce agreement, changed the locks on the premises. Given your affair with Grant, I'm pursuing full custody, but I won't prevent visitation. Work out the details with your lawyer and mine. Since Grant allowed you to stay with him, I've sent your possessions there. If there are any additional items from the house you desire, discuss it with your lawyer and mine. I no longer wish to interact with you or be subjected to your untruths. Stay away from me and the children. Any attempt to communicate will trigger a restraining order. Don't complicate the divorce proceedings unnecessarily. I presume what we went through was worth it. It would be best if you consulted a lawyer without delay. I've already split our financial resources based on the divorce decree, replaced the locks on the doors. As you entered into an affair with Grant, I'm pursuing full custody, but I won't deny visitation rights. Coordinate it through your lawyer and mine. Since Grant offered you a place to stay, I've sent your belongings there. If there are any additional items from the house you require, have your lawyer contact mine to discuss it. I no longer desire your presence or deceit in my life. Maintain distance from me and our children. Any efforts to reach out will lead to a restraining order being enforced. Let's avoid making the divorce process more difficult. I believe what we've experienced was worthwhile. It would be advisable for you to seek legal advice immediately. I've already distributed our resources according to the divorce settlement, altered the door locks. Since your relationship with Grant started, I'm requesting full custody, but I won't deny visitation. Coordinate it through your lawyer and mine. As Grant has given you a place to stay, I've sent your belongings there. If there are any more items from the house you wish for, discuss it with your lawyer and mine. I no longer want you or your deceptions in my life. Maintain distance from me and our children. Any attempts to contact will result in a restraining order being enforced. Let's keep the divorce process as smooth as possible. I prefer to keep things amicable, particularly for the children, but if you persist, be aware that I have proof from a private investigator who has been observing you over the past month. I haven't informed the kids about why we're divorcing yet, but I will when it's appropriate. My parents are aware of some details, but not everything. It's high time to act honestly and terminate this sham marriage immediately, Linda. You hold no significance for me. Farewell from John. Tears flowed down Linda's face as she opened the bag and discovered her wedding ashes, the same dress she wore when marrying John. She crumpled to the floor sobbing. Grant held her and read the letter from that cad. He vowed to challenge him for this. No, Grant, please don't. I don't want you getting into trouble because of me. This is my mess. She asked what you got, Grant inquired. He's suing me for causing emotional distress, he explained. $5 million, he added. I'll consult with my lawyer to find a resolution to this situation. Wondering if he intends to pursue Natalie, Linda suggested we inquire. Grant agreed and dialed his number. If it's true, we must address the situation and manage this predicament post-birthday party. I thanked everyone for attending and appreciated their presence, observing the disarray. Sophie approached with tears brimming. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" I inquired, giving her a comforting hug. She lamented that she wished Mom were present, her eyes filled with sorrow. Yes, me too. I sighed, but she had more to share. Sophie's expression turned somber. Are you and Mom separating? She asked through tears. I didn't want to ruin her day, but the discussion was inevitable. We'll discuss it later. Agreed, Aaron interjected. Is it due to that man, Grant? He asked. I wondered why he thought so. I've overheard Mom conversing with him frequently on the phone. He shared it was intriguing, yet left the matter for another day. Let's discuss it tomorrow. Today is solely dedicated to Sophie's celebration. I require your assistance to clean up. Agreed. Dad Aaron signified his assent with a nod. I hugged Sophie again and planted a kiss on her cheek, reassuring her everything will be fine. Wiping away her tears, I expressed my love for her. She reciprocated with, I love you too, Daddy. Rhonda and George contributed to the cleanup efforts. John, are you all right? Rhonda inquired before they departed. I'll manage, was my response. Appreciated your help anytime, she mentioned. If you need anything, just ask. I acknowledged as Rhonda hugged me and George shook my hand before departing. I locked up and climbed upstairs to bed immediately. The next day, I woke up and attended to my usual Sunday chores, preparing breakfast for us three, mowing the lawn while Aaron handled edging, tidying up, putting things away, and eventually taking a shower. Sophie was surprised, ready with sandwiches. We ate at the table, then cleared our plates. Sophie looked expectantly at me. Okay, Dad, she began. What's going on? I knew this conversation would happen soon, so I led the kids to the living room and we sat down. There's no easy way to say this, I started. I'm separating from your mom. The news elicited little reaction from the children, which surprised me. Aaron remarked, You seemed less surprised to see that man, Mom, didn't you? I acknowledged quietly, confirming Aaron's suspicion. It's been a while, right? Why the surprise? I asked him about her relationship with him. He clarified he had overheard her on the phone. She talks to him similarly to how she talks to Dad. This finally made sense and explained why I hadn't noticed it earlier, perhaps because I trusted and respected her privacy. Listening in on her calls with that man or anyone else had never occurred to me, so I asked about the duration of their relationship. Dad replied, 12 years. Sophie exclaimed, almost since I was born. She seemed to realize, and I confirmed it. Wow, Sophie murmured apologetically. Sorry, Dad. She added quickly, sensing her language might not be appropriate. Understanding her frustration, I allowed it to pass without comment. Can I stay with you? She asked, if that's what she wanted. I assured her that was fine. Aaron chimed in, You've always been there for us. I thanked them both for their kindness. That means a great deal to me. I confessed that I had asked for custody of both of you, and I shared that I was opening my arms for a hug, which you both accepted warmly. It brought me immense joy knowing my children wanted to be with me. After an emotional reunion, we continued with the day, though sadness lingered in our home for the following days. The days passed smoothly without incident. George and Rhonda kindly collected the kids from school and stayed until I got back from work. I felt guilty for causing them trouble, but they were understanding and eager to help. Rhonda even took charge of dinner, easing my burden on Tuesday. On Wednesday, my lawyer Lisa called. Linda had consulted with her own lawyer and expressed a desire to see the kids. I was reluctant to have her over, fearing she might do something impulsive like taking them away. I inquired about the restraining order, asking if we could temporarily suspend it from 9 p.m. on Friday night until 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. Lisa suggested it, emphasizing the importance of appearing reasonable. I agreed. Could she meet them at her parents' house on Saturday? I suggested I could bring them there Friday after school and retrieve them either Saturday evening or Sunday. I'll suggest that and find out what her attorney thinks. Lisa agreed. No, Natalie or Grant should not be present, I stressed, since the kids might not wish to see her. They aren't in high spirits with her at the moment. I'll convey that message. Lisa assured me about anything else I inquired. She told me that her attorney wants the entire PI report. Lisa informed me she had sent it off and should receive it by Thursday at the latest, as she is now represented by a lawyer. I confirmed Linda hired Beth Sawyer on Monday. Lisa informed me. I was taken aback when Beth agreed to take the case given her known dislike for cheaters. My assumption is that she did so because she works in the same law firm as Grant's attorney. In any case, I plan to talk with Beth and see how things unfold. I'll update you tomorrow, as Linda responded to me yesterday, her lawyer, and she accepted my conditions. However, the suspension of the restraining order is only for 36 hours, starting from midnight Saturday till noon Sunday, excluding it for Natalie and applying solely to Linda. They agreed that Linda would visit the children at her parents' home, but wouldn't take them anywhere else. The kids initially showed reluctance, but I persuaded them to give it a try. George and Rhonda consented to fetch them from school on Friday and drop them back by Sunday afternoon. I chose to avoid appearing unreasonable in court's eyes. Over the weekend, my children were at school, and on Friday, I ensured they had everything they required. After farewells, I dropped them off. I asked them to call me if Grant, Natalie, or their mother appeared. Once I confirmed they were safe, I went to work. The following evening, around 5:30, George stopped by, and we went to the Flat Stick Pub, a popular downtown sports bar. Over burgers and beers, we discussed updates while watching games in between bites. George told me Linda arrived around 9 that morning. He said it was initially tense, but later calm. Surprisingly, they expressed their displeasure with her. She confessed something unexpected. She still loves you. George suggested she wants reconciliation. However, considering the 12 years of lies and deceit, I find it unimaginable to consider it. I acknowledged, I understand now, by the way, did you actually torch her wedding gown? That dress cost over $2,000 when you two got married. George questioned, seemed like the right decision then. I chuckled, but your lawyer gave her an earful once they went through the PI report. George mentioned she might be seeing your perspective as well. A bit too late. George nodded and took a sip of his beer. Suddenly, there was a commotion behind me. I turned just in time to take a blow to my head. Stars filled my vision as I collapsed. I saw a foot approaching, but instinctively dodged it. Groggy, I recalled some old self-defense lessons from my dad. Gathering all my strength, I struck him hard in the groin. He cried out and fell back, knocking over a nearby table. Taking advantage of the moment, I attacked him. Furious from the wreckage of my marriage and family, I unleashed raw anger, with no style or sophistication. Grant was unconscious as I kept punching him, oblivious to this fact. It took George and another man to pull me away, but not before I uttered some incomprehensible words. When I awoke, I found myself in a hospital bed, a doctor examining me. My right hand was bandaged, my left arm was in a cast, and Roman 4 dripped into my vein, and my head throbbed painfully. The doctor said he'd be okay, just with a severe headache for a while. No signs of a concussion were detected. Pain relief was given, and I was told to rest before being sent home. George, puzzled, spoke up. "Glad you're going to make it," he said, grinning at me. "I know you're in pain, but you should see the other guy. He's losing a testicle, has some teeth missing, and almost lost an eye. You busted a knuckle on his jaw. That was Grant, wasn't it?" "Yes," I croaked. "For how long have I been here?" "It's 8:30 on Sunday morning now," George replied. "By the way, there are a couple of large police officers outside who wish to speak with you. Looks like it might be best to get this over with." George gestured to the officers, and they stepped into the room. Sergeant Smith introduced himself along with Officer Jones, saying they had responded to an incident at the Flat Stick Pub last night. "They inquired about my condition that morning," Sir Smith asked, sounding like I'd taken a blow to the head. I confessed that I was, and Smith nodded while checking his notes. He then asked what details I could provide regarding last night. "Not much," I replied, as I was just having a burger and beer with my father-in-law here, when suddenly I found myself getting attacked. I recounted the man threatened me, so I had to defend myself. Smith glanced over his notes. "That's about what the witnesses said, and the surveillance footage corroborates it," he confirmed. "Do you know who the attacker was?" Smith inquired. "Yes, his name is Grant Jacobs. I have a lawsuit against him, and he's involved in my divorce proceedings." When I explained about divorce, the sergeant asked for confirmation, to which I confirmed. He noted it down. "Do you intend to press charges?" "Yes, definitely, and there's also a restraining order against him. The sergeant advised me to stay in town for a while, just in case they need to talk to me again." "No problem," I assured him. They left the room after that. Linda and the kids entered next. "Why is she here?" I asked suspiciously, glaring at Linda because my restraining order won't take effect until noon. Linda explained that she thought I would be with my boyfriend. I remarked, and she looked down, feeling embarrassed. She wanted to see me first, she admitted. Natalie was with him, and he was still recovering, so I nodded in understanding. The kids gathered around me. Sophie's eyes welled up. "Will you be all right, Daddy?" She inquired about my ability to handle things, sweetheart. I assured her that I had indeed given Grant a good beating the previous night, as Aaron confirmed with a grin. "That's the scoop, all right." I nodded at George, "but it's not something to boast about. You understand what I mean." "Got it, Dad," affirmed Aaron. "Are you okay?" John inquired. Linda asked, "He'll be fine." Sophie reassured her mother, saying we would take good care of him. "Won't we, Aaron?" "Yes, we got this," my son confirmed. When Linda suggested she would like to chat with your dad alone for a bit, our teenage kids nodded and exited the room along with George and Rhonda. Alone with John and Linda, she expressed her deep regret about everything. As I had told Natalie last Saturday, I simply said, "Like I told Natalie last Saturday." Apologies fall short in this case, for lying and being unfaithful for 12 years and expecting forgiveness is beyond comprehension. Was I such a terrible husband? All I did was show love and support. Or perhaps I'm just not getting it. "You considered me the best husband and father," she lamented, "yet even that wasn't enough for you." "Is it about me?" I inquired. "No, it isn't like that." She denied vehemently. "Really? That's how it seems from my perspective." I retorted, "Clearly you don't grasp the situation." She pleaded, "Then clarify the situation for me." I began. At first it was just a means to secure employment. He made intimacy with me a prerequisite for the position. But isn't that illegal? Why didn't you confide in me so we could take action? You wanted that job so desperately that you thought sleeping with him was a small sacrifice, even if it destroyed our family. You implied a deal with the devil, which she admitted. Now you're blaming the devil. Get serious. The truth is, you desired that position so desperately you were ready to sleep with him for it. Even if it meant losing everything, recall your old motto, it's just business. Linda, where does ruining our family fit into your profit margin? What puzzles me is why you continued after you claimed retirement. That was my fault, she admitted. I guess you thought you could have the best of both worlds. You have feelings for him, don't you? That's why you persisted. How long did you plan to keep this up forever? Did you think I wouldn't find out or expected me to accept it once I did and forget about it? I know more than you realize, I told her. Yes, affection grew for him, she confessed. I thought you loved me enough to let me have this. I tried my best not to let it impact you. Are you genuinely saying this? Each minute you spent with him diminished our time together. Don't you remember the principle of opportunity costs the forfeited profit from other possibilities when one is chosen? You opted for him over your family, resulting in the loss of your family. Yet, you assert that you still cherish me. I've never ceased to love you, but you've lost my admiration. This is my argument. You countered with disbelief on your face. No, never, you denied. Yes, you did. I maintained emphatically. That's why you vowed to be with him for life and threatened me during a potential divorce. Shock registered in your eyes as you gasped. Yes, and more, I confirmed. For instance, you told Grant that you'd rather spend time with him than with your daughter on her birthday. What kind of mother does that? What message does such an action send to a fragile teenager? Did you ever consider her Aaron when you missed his birthday last year? This comment caused you to wince. I suppose I simply fail as both a wife and a mother, you murmured softly. Your viewpoint isn't mine, but if it fits, I shrug indifferently. By the way, rest assured I can't pursue him for child support as DNA tests confirm the kids are mine. Her expression changed to shock as she exclaimed, "You actually thought I'd do that to you," I countered. "Well, you deceived me for 12 years. You schemed and tricked me, hiding your affair. What else would I assume?" she added. "You might want to know I picked up on things between the two of you. It seems Grant enjoys variety. You're not his only conquest." She questioned further. "What's next?" I advised. "Sign the divorce papers, Linda, end this sham marriage, seek help, and straighten yourself out for the kid's sake." I urged. "You'll have plenty of time." She acknowledged. "You're probably right." "I'll sign the papers," she conceded. "I'm sorry, John, for everything." I reminded her that we've already discussed this. Apparent, isn't it? Well, I appreciate the opportunity to spend time with the children this weekend. She acknowledged no issue in response, but expressed doubts about my sentiments. However, she confessed her love for me and wished I could find a way to forgive her and try again. "You are correct," I replied, "but I don't believe it. Still, I appreciate your words. A part of me will always care for you too, but that isn't enough for me. I need to trust my partner, and after what you did, I'm not sure if I can ever trust anyone again." She nodded silently with tears running down her face. "Yes," she whispered. "Goodbye, John." She gave me a cheek kiss before exiting the room tearfully. George, Rhonda, and the children arrived afterward. "Everything all right, son?" George inquired. "Yes," I replied. "We've had a conversation. I believe she finally understands the magnitude of her mistake. So, does this mean you and Mom are getting back together?" Sophie asked. I shook my head. "No, honey," I said, "but it's clear that they still care for each other." "Sophie, you argued that more than love is needed to sustain a marriage." I clarified that trust is equally crucial, and currently, I don't have it in her. Eventually, you may grasp this truth yourself. After a medical examination, I was discharged. George drove me home with the children later that evening. Later that night, I got an urgent call from George and Linda. Natalie had informed them that Linda had overdosed on sleeping pills and alcohol. Upon retrieving some of Grant's possessions, Natalie found her unconscious at Grant's place. A note left on her nightstand read, "I'm sorry." Despite coming close to death, Linda pulled through and spent a few days in the hospital. Post-recovery, mental health experts evaluated her. Ultimately, she resided under the supervision of George and Rhonda. Later, she returned to live with them. She consented to the divorce settlement without any objections, and it was finalized in 90 days according to Lisa. I learned this information from her. A swift agreement was reached between Grant and Natalie's attorney, providing us with half of what I originally asked for. After deducting attorney fees, I was left with approximately $3.5 million. I earmarked $1 million for each child's college funds, saving the rest. A Mediterranean cruise was arranged for them during their following summer vacation. Grant was found guilty of aggravated assault battery and attempted murder based on video evidence. He was sentenced to 10 years in state prison, but may be eligible for parole in around 8.5 years. Each time I visited George and Rhonda's home with the kids. Occasionally, I encountered Linda. Occasionally, we exchanged words, but her past actions lingered in my mind. She was undergoing counseling to ponder her behavior and harbored the optimism that I might reconcile with her. Despite this, her efforts seemed tardy. Gradually, she managed to bond with the children, which offered some comfort. George remarked that she spent most of her time composing content for business blogs, showing no inclination towards dating. She appeared disheartened upon learning about our Mediterranean cruise with the kids, but remained composed and wished us well. The children frequently sent her messages containing photos from our journey during the cruise. I encountered Nikki, a charming woman from British Columbia, also on a post-divorce trip. Younger than Linda, she had blonde hair and an upbeat disposition. She often ended her sentences with a pleasant tone. She had 2 children slightly younger than mine who spent their summers with their grandparents in Idaho. We shared many hours together recounting our stories, occasionally even sharing a bed. Sophie joked about my acquiring a girlfriend. Upon the cruise's end, we exchanged contact information, vowing to maintain communication through emails and Skype. Although unsure where this relationship might progress, we keep in touch online at least twice a week. Life at home regained its rhythm without Linda. My supervisor was understanding, letting me handle dropping off and picking up my children from school as Aaron was about to reach driving age. Once we returned from the cruise, George delivered upsetting news. Linda is being admitted to a mental hospital. He showed me a photo Sophie sent of us dining with the Canadian woman from our cruise. Apparently, Linda didn't take it. Instead, she took her own life, which I couldn't believe. I expressed my sincere sympathy, but also felt a sense of justice, since Linda had caused similar pain when I discovered her relationship with Grant. It was hard to hear the news, but at least she survived her attempt. However, the doctor stated that she requires round-the-clock care, which George explained Rhonda and I are unable to provide on a 24/7 basis. Consequently, they decided it would be best for Linda to reside in a care facility. How long will she stay there? I asked about George's son, and he replied that we're taking things one day at a time, as the situation could be temporary or permanent. I thanked him, and he expressed appreciation. George mentioned that Nikki and he continue their long-distance relationship. As we talk more, I feel myself growing closer to her. I contemplate our future together. She expressed concern for Linda's impact on George, Rhonda, and the children during our last conversation. Nikki suggested visiting each other or even meeting at a 2-story log house in the forest north of Kamloops, built in the late 1800s, a place I have never been before. If anything comes out of it, that's another story for another time.